double check that we're live on Rumble.
The best girlfriend ever?
I do.
Who just bought you all this stuff?
She did.
And all this stuff?
My girl bought all of it, and I'm about to eat this, and then we're gonna chow on that after. So, happy Easter.
Yeah. But we're not eating it all. Just know that. Because we gotta save some.
Yeah.
You know? Budget cuts, you know?
Happy Easter.
Save. You know? So we're gonna scoff this stuff down.
Relax.
Because Boo deserved it. You know? Even though we get in our arguments sometimes, I still love you, okay?
I love you too.
Yeah.
I love you too, baby.
Yeah, you better. So I just spent some money on you. Yeah.
Wow! Clint's girlfriend really likes to keep him big. That's probably so he doesn't escape. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name is Luke Radowski, here of thebestpoliticalshow.com, and we are going to be going live for the next 2 hours discussing all the latest crazy news developing right now, as of course there is so many things to talk about, especially when it comes to all the April Fool's jokes out there, including the joke of the President of the United States that just came out and said that it, quote, wasn't his idea to make Easter Sunday Trans Visibility Day. What's really going on here? As of course, it's fair to say that a lot of Christians are definitely under attack. There's a lot of news developing right now with Iran inside of Syria. They soon might be launching some major offenses there. Ukraine might actually get their money after all. We're going to be talking about that, plus a lot more, all here for the next 2 hours. So make sure you share this broadcast with your friends and family members. It is more imperative than ever that you guys get this video out there. It really does mean a lot to us. And with the way that the YouTube algorithm has been treating us, it's been one of the few ways that our organization still exists, through your participation, through your help. As of course, you could also participate in the conversation by simply and easily signing up to lukeunfiltered.com. And then by doing so, you get the ability to call into the show and ask us whatever question you want. There's no screening, there's no filtering. You're a part of the conversation live all through just becoming a member of lukeunfiltered.com. Signing up is quick, it's easy. You click right here, you put in your information, and we do a lot of really cool things. We just released a special report just for members a couple minutes ago, and we're also doing a nature hike, which Clint has volunteered to randomly put random plants in his mouth on, which should be very entertaining and fun, and will be happening here in the next 2 weeks.
Can't wait.
All right, another way to participate in the conversation is through, of course, Super Chats, Rumble Rants, but we prefer you guys use mysuperchat.com, a platform that only takes a 3% service charge, and more importantly, also allows your text to show up on screen, as of course, those are the Super Chats that we are going to be prioritizing here today. Now, joining us for this really incredible, awesome conversation is some really awesome and incredible individuals. The first of which is Miss Ivory Heckler, an awesome, incredible investigative journalist that I have known for about 2+ years now. You just broke a major story, flying to Miami. Who are you, and how would you introduce yourself for the people who don't know you?
Hey guys, I'm Ivory Heckler. Good to be here. I'm a retired TV news personality. And now I'm an independent journalist and news analyst, among other things. Yes, I flew to Miami to celebrate my best friend's birthday and had a big news story right there. I was sitting in a row with illegal immigrants, so I just covered it.
Awesome. We're going to be talking about that, plus a lot more. Troy Casey, the health nut, is also here. Troy, feel free to move a little bit left so your mics don't kind of interfere with each other. You were on just last week filling in for someone who dropped out. We're great, and we're very happy to have you here again. Who are you?
Troy Casey, certified health nut, president of Planet Earth, here to get the world healthy, plain and simple.
Troy's awesome. He does a lot of really cool stuff. We're going to be getting into it, and a lot of really cool advice that someone like Clint should listen to.
That's right.
As Clint disinvited me from the event in Orlando that he just recently had, and I'm still very disappointed in him for not being there.
America, I can show you the text messages. I sent him
He
24
sent it-
hours
no,
notice.
2 minutes before the event. The event was 500 miles away.
It was 300 miles away, and it was 24 hours before the event.
600 miles away. Okay, all right, and I had to travel on a horse and carriage. All right, it was.
He had to walk uphill both ways through the snow. All right, Clint Russell, host of Liberty Lockdown, running for the vice presidency of the United States in the Libertarian Party. Also, the co-host of The Best Political Show, which you should pick up your phone right now. Go to your favorite podcatcher and enter in both Liberty Lockdown and The Best Political Show. Smash subscribe on both so that you never miss an episode. I also do Tower Gang. You should never watch that. We got Steph on the button.
I will never forgive you, Clint. Steph is also here.
Steph is here. Steph, we are changed. Pushing the buttons. Let's go.
All right, let's just get right into it, into the first story today. And that, of course, is Joe Biden announcing that, quote, "I didn't do that," when directly criticized for designating Easter Sunday as Transgender Day of Visibility. Now, a lot of people were kind of shocked by this major decision. A lot of people were kind of perplexed by it as well. But now it looks like the Biden administration might be rolling back what they previously doubled down on. As, of course, we have to understand here, the Biden administration, Biden himself, Kamala Harris herself, excuse me. She's not a big mic. She is actually Kamala. Kamala took to social media and, of course, announced that Easter Sunday was Trans Visibility Day. The White House even made sure that the messaging was on par with their larger kind of virtue signaling here, which a lot of Christians saw as a major attack on their religious beliefs. But now Biden is saying it wasn't him who did it. If it wasn't him, who was it? And what do you guys think is really going on here?
Well, I read some of the news coverage, and what they were saying is that it happened to be apparently Transgender Day of Visibility is already an annual celebration since like 2009, and it just happened to fall on Easter this year. But he put out that proclamation declaring Easter Sunday as Transgender Day of Visibility, so it felt like he did declare Easter that way.
I mean, it's literally signed. It says, "I, Joseph R. Biden, declare."
Yes.
So maybe they shouldn't be doing that. Now, I will say, I doubt that he was actually aware of it. So he's probably telling the truth, but it doesn't change the fact that, like, the mission from the White House more broadly, seeing as he's just a figurehead, is to, in my opinion, inflame the Christian community and try and antagonize them into becoming radicalized. That's my opinion.
Is it Joe Biden that's doing that, or is it the World
No.
Economic Forum minion puppeteers?
Yeah.
Well, this is the question here that a lot of people are left with. Is Biden just that kind of old and senile that he forgot he did this? Or is he just the puppet and he's just essentially not there and other people are telling him what to say, what to do, to the point where he can't even keep up with it? What's really going on here is the question that I think a lot of people are asking themselves after he just came out and said, "I didn't do it. That wasn't me."
Yeah, but this has been going on for quite a few years now. I mean, I've been on the planet for 58 years, and to see this type of buffoonery and acting like nothing is really going on, especially with the southern border, as you were talking about with the immigrants earlier, I mean, things are really weird. And then didn't they have the Pataki, the red-haired lady, and then the black lady that they're the clowns?
Jean-Pierre.
The clowns. Yeah. The clowns in the... Remember when Trump was there? And Trump would get up there and he'd be like, "I'm Trump and I'm here." And now Biden's there and he's like, "I got these women talking for me," and they never know the answers for anything. And we're living in this like total clown world buffoonery. And then there are a subset of human beings, and I would postulate potentially intelligent, but they're not that intelligent, thinking and acting like this is real.
Very good point. As, of course, just a few years ago, we had the Bush administration that was also labeled this kind of moronic, idiot, Texas Southern person who couldn't pronounce words correctly as well. And a lot of his kind of larger aggressive moves against the American people were kind of excused as, "Oh, he just doesn't know what he's doing." And I think this is a deliberate tactic used by a lot of the kind of deep state apparatuses behind the larger kind of power structure here, because Joe Biden did, of course, celebrate Easter. But more importantly, it's also important to note here, there was a declaration by the Biden administration to specifically ban religious symbols in the kind of Easter egg contest that he held on the White House lawn, where he also declared that there are oyster bunnies that exist in our society. Here's the video from the President of the United States declaring oyster bunnies.
And I'm coming down to do that Easter egg roll in just a minute. Thank you all so very, very much. Thanks, everybody. And by the way, say hello to oyster bunnies. Come on up, bunnies. Get up here so they can see you. Come on, get in there.
My response to this was like, these are the new genetically engineered hybrid super soldiers that we're going to be using in World War III against Russia. As, of course, things like hybrid animal kind of weird scientific experiments do happen under the federal government, and probably do happen in a very weaponized kind of way and format in order to create as much death and destruction as they can possibly, as there are a lot of ungodly scientific projects and experiments underway. Probably also with oyster bunnies. Let's just be real here. There probably was a classified briefing that came to Biden. He's like, okay, we're going to create these oyster bunnies that we're going to use against the Ruskies here. and then the guy probably, again, I'm being facetious here. I'm joking around here.
The gain of function's still alive.
The Russian submarine fleet has never seen the oyster bunnies coming. Look, if you watch that video and you still are wondering aloud whether or not Joe Biden is actually in charge, the answer is so clearly no. I don't know why we're debating this. Donald Trump, who has most of his cognitive faculties still intact, he also wasn't in charge. I don't know if you noticed, but he tried to withdraw troops from Syria, and the generals were like, nope. So, no, the president doesn't run things. I think it's time people actually acknowledge the reality. And certainly, even if Biden were capable, they still wouldn't permit him to. Do you think that Biden cares even remotely about the trans community? He couldn't care less. He was one of the biggest bigots ever. All through the 80s, all through the 90s. So he hasn't evolved in his 60s, 70s, and 80s. This guy is still a bigot. He's still a terrible human being. He doesn't care at all. So yeah, when he says I didn't declare that, he didn't. But his White House did.
But he is very competent.
Is he?
When it comes to sniffing babies. As we have this video footage here.
Fair point,
of
Luke. Fair
today's
point.
celebration of him literally sniffing more babies. So he's really good at that, right?
Yep. That's
so
what he does.
You know, we have at least that handled at the White House there. As of course, I like debating this. I like talking about this because this kind of proves the larger point that I've been screaming about for over 20 plus years, and that is that the kind of presidency doesn't really matter that much. The powers behind the presidency, the power structure, the deep state, the intelligence agencies, the secret societies, they're the ones that effectively put out a lot of the same policies that are usually routinely followed no matter who the president of the United States is. Sure, the policies change a little bit here and there, but when it comes to destroying the middle class, when it comes to launching foreign wars of aggression, when it comes to just absolutely destroying America from within, it almost seems like that's a routine kind of theme in almost every single presidency. Now, Trump, people are debating, changed it up. He didn't start any new wars. But I think it's fair to say that his presidency also was a presidency that there was a lot of kind of internal battles within that prevented him from accomplishing a lot of the things that he promised that he was going to accomplish. That's my perspective. I don't know how you guys see it.
Well, I'm still trying to figure it out, and I know that some people that say I follow the brother Anomaly, and you know he's like, hey, he rolled out the warp speed on the vaccines, and you know. Vaccines are poison, obviously. You know,
well, not really a family-friendly topic here of discussion here on this particular first segment.
Shut
Troy,
it down. Shut it down.
oh yeah, I forgot. Sorry.
Troy, we have
Rumble.com.
you here for a reason. Okay, you're getting out of control here. You're speaking a little bit too much common sense to the Kyles and Karens here on our YouTube audience
Slow
that
down.
don't like this type of language. Well, you know what you could say is, you know, there's. You know, things that happened that weren't as advantageous as they were promised to be. And we will have to discuss that in about 50 minutes from now on Rumble.
Yeah, we'll do that. And but I would like to say, you know, being on this planet, watching some politics from Jimmy Carter, you know, on since I was a kid, and Ronald Reagan, and I certainly haven't followed politics as closely as you have, but I really enjoyed the Donald Trump shenanigans. There was quite a few things that I really enjoyed about him, and I'm an American. I know he's a brass New Yorker, and I know New Yorkers. They like to stand up and, they talk shit on the stoop. And he had that attitude. And there's just a lot of things that I really liked about him. Is he hidden deep state? I don't know. That's to be determined.
I think there was a little bit of an internal power clash between him and the deep state. I think he tried to get some things done, and then they were like, who do you think you are? The president of the United States? You don't call the shots here. You want to release the JFK files? Not going to happen here, buddy. And then the JFK files never came out. You want to get the troops out of Syria? Yeah, sure. Yeah, we got that. We did that. And then they never did that. But when it came to a lot of the other things where he kind of caved to a lot of special interest groups and a lot of big donors, especially Mr. Sheldon Adelson, especially when it came to appointing individuals like that neoconservative war hawk. You know who I'm talking
John
about
Bolton.
here, Clint. When it came to
Mike Pompeo, John Bolton, the swamp was a fool.
Yes. He did kind of surround himself with a lot of swamp monsters, especially during the kind of first years of his administration, while a lot of his biggest supporters were kind of deliberately taken out and attacked. Individuals like Michael Flynn, individuals like Steve Bannon, all who, of course, now face kind of larger criminal charges and investigations that soon might end them up in jail, like Peter Navarro, who did end up in jail. So there does seem to be kind of a bipolar picture within the Trump administration because a portion of it, especially when it comes to individuals like Kash Patel and all the other individuals that are now being prosecuted, represented this anti-establishment wing. And then on the other side, you had Jared Kushner. On the other side, you had Ivanka, that according even to Trump's son, was crying so he would bomb Syria, which he later did. But when he did bomb Syria, it looked like he definitely notified the Syrians beforehand and told them that he was just going to bomb an empty airfield, and that's exactly what he did, as kind of a virtue signal that the corporate media really loved and applauded him for. They're like, he's very presidential. I think it was an anchor.
That was the moment he became president, is what they said.
Yes. I think on MSNBC, they literally were like, he's finally going into his role as president of the United States, making some very tough decisions, falling for the psyop that we all kind of engineered around these kind of chemical gas attacks in Syria that, according to many investigators, many journalists, and even many people from the United Nations, was all kind of a psyop and not done as it was told to us as it happened.
Ivory, you're formerly under the yoke of Fox News. I'm curious, now that you're not, can you give me your true opinion as to whether or not Trump is on the side of the people, or is he a swamp monster himself?
Well, it's hard to tell. It's not like the reporters, correspondents, anchors. Most of them don't have secret information unless they've spent like extensive time actually with Trump, which I have not. And so,
Not
I
sure.
I think that there was. I think it's been a brutal struggle, and when you see the attacks on him, you kind of figure that he's not a part of the deep state, you know. So
I had a lengthy conversation with his son out in
Iowa.
Iowa, thank you.
Yeah, I was there. Yep.
Yes, and I came away thinking that whether or not Donald Trump Sr. is in fact on the side of the people, I think that his son is, and that gives me hope that in fact his father is as well. But yeah, I think when you're facing over 700 years in prison potentially, when you've been spied on by the FBI before you were even the president of the United States, I think you're probably an outsider. Probably.
Yeah. You know, they were attacking him for every little stupid thing that was absolutely irrelevant and didn't have any kind of larger impact on our lives, whether it was how much ice cream he had, how much he fed the koi fish, his comments that were offensive to some people, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't really matter. But why are we making this such a big issue, and why are you attacking him every step of the way when he sneezes the wrong way? And that highlights a kind of situation where you kind of want to side with him more. The more they attack him, the more they vilify him, the more they make him a martyr. Now, I don't know if they deliberately know that they're doing this, but I think they're failing. I think his popularity is at an all-time high. I think a
What
lot
are
of
the
Americans.
polls at right now?
The polls are showing that he is probably going to be the next president of the United States. I believe that there's going to be probably some kind of shenanigans. I do believe that major battleground states like Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Arizona will probably go Democrat. And I think it's going to be a lot closer of an election than a lot of people expect it to be. I know some people in the Trump camp think that they have it in the bag, but looking at everything that happened, especially during the midterm elections, I don't see that. I don't see that at all. I see this as a very close election, and I think there's going to be a lot of shenanigans, and I think a lot of powerful people are going to be doing everything in their power to make sure that he doesn't become the next president of the United States. And I don't think they'll stop at anything in order to achieve that.
Well, what's being done? You're having Kerry Lake on soon, right?
Yes.
Is there been some corrections out there? I live in Arizona. I don't follow it that closely, but have there been some corrections? Or are they trying to get the data counting machines and make sure there's paper in it and all that stuff?
My understanding is that the entire state apparatus is basically controlled by the Democrats, so it's going to be very challenging to get justice there,
or any kind of election reform. There was no reform made in those states, and they're going to follow the same kind of procedures like they did in 2020, like they did in 2022, that allowed those states to become Democrat. So
probably
hope you're going to enjoy your future overlords in Arizona there, Troy, because that's where you're from. I don't know. That's my perspective. Ivory, what are you getting from your kind of analysis? Because you're in this kind of same world as we are. I think it's going to be a lot closer of an election. That's just me. What do you think?
Well, I think the RFK Jr. factor is going to be so fascinating this time because he is pulling voters away from Trump and Biden. And a lot of Democrats are very disenchanted with Biden. Their new nickname for him is Genocide Joe, due to the Israel-Gaza war. And so these people who don't like Biden anymore due to Israel are going for RFK Jr. And Biden is even, there was a recent letter from top donors to the Democrats, to Biden, that was written to Biden saying, you got to figure out Israel right now. And these are donors who do at least six-figure donations. And they're saying, we can't keep donating to you if you're sending all of our voters to RFK Jr. And so he's got to make a decision about this, wrap this Israel situation up. Meanwhile, Trump does have that pharmaceutical issue where he put out this new pharmaceutical in his presidency and he lost a lot of his voters, again, to RFK Jr.
Not just losing them through the voting process, but just losing them in general. Like a lot of them aren't around.
That's true.
Again, we'll have to save that topic. You brought up two spicy issues that we can't talk about here on this particular broadcast. But RFK Jr. hasn't been the best, especially when it comes to what you just pointed out to be kind of Biden's fault there as well. But his latest VP pick does highlight, I think, something that will definitely take away more votes from the Democrats. Now, will RFK Jr. even be able to get ballot access? That's a bigger question here. There's a lot of contention going around, especially now with the Libertarian Party. Clint might be the Libertarian vice president soon. And is there still a chance for him to be VP?
The answer
for you to be VP, especially with what he just announced, if they're going to be taking over the Libertarian Party?
No, the answer is no. You have to win the delegates at the convention for the Libertarian Party at the end of May, and because he has already selected his vice presidential campaign or candidate, co-candidate, he has basically declared he is not intending to run under the LP because you cannot select your vice president under the Libertarian Party. So he is an independent candidate. He's sticking with that. I agree with her analysis when it comes to Trump and losing supporters to RFK Jr. I don't actually agree that many of Biden's supporters have defected over to RFK because RFK is as big a defender of Israel, if not more so, than Biden himself. So I don't see that that's playing out, but I do agree with Luke that because of the VP pick that he made, who being a strong progressive, goodness gracious, it's very noisy with this dog over here.
She's more rambunctious than she usually is.
I do think that the Democrat voters will swing over to RFK Jr. because of that VP pick. So that benefits Trump tremendously.
But it looks like Trump definitely is making an issue out of the, quote, Trans Visibility Day, as he also demanded that Biden issue an apology. He called Biden's move blasphemous and even went as far as to call it appalling. Now, is it blasphemous? Is it appalling? I think in a way, yes, especially with how horrible this administration has been, especially how weaponized the intelligence. We might have to play a clip here of Clint's girlfriend one more time. Wait, we're
Who has the best?
now we're back up. Sorry about that. We apologize that we had some technical difficulties here. Where was I?
I don't know, but my ex was horrifying, man.
Yeah, she wasn't the,
She'd just
the best there.
buy me Chinese food and then just intimidate the hell out of me. What a terrible human being.
I mean, some people deserve to be put in their place, and
I'm not
if
one
you
of
step
them.
if you stepped out of line, you deserve to be recalled here.
Poor guy looked so. He had PTSD just from
That guy,
interacting with his girlfriend.
that guy wasn't happy here. But again, Trump is kind of running on this issue against this larger kind of trans visibility day, and I think he's galvanizing a big kind of Christian voter base that does feel under attack. And when you look at the way that the IRS has been weaponized by the Obama administration, going after religious groups, going after Christians, you look at the way that the FBI has been going after pro-life organizations, it definitely does seem like there is a kind of larger concerted effort along with Hollywood, along with some very powerful people in the entertainment industry that do want to vilify and point the finger at Christians at being absolutely evil. I don't know if you guys are seeing that kind of situation or agree with it or disagree with it, but feel free to let me know what you guys think.
Again, I'm just tripping out over here and just seeing how everything's so backwards. And I'm just wondering when the whole system is going to collapse. But we continue to talk about Joe Biden and the shenanigans and
Best girlfriend ever?
I do.
Who just bought you all this stuff?
She did.
Okay, all right, we're back up. Sorry about that. I don't know what happens. Again, guys, try to be careful over there and not hit anything with your fingers. Where were we?
I haven't the
Attacks
slightest.
on Christians.
Okay, you were saying, Troy, sorry, we were cut off here randomly. I don't know what in the world is going on with our tech stuff, but don't touch any buttons. And I think, Clint, the thing that your cable might be messing that. Don't touch that. Clint, it's fine. Okay, is it better now? All right, fine. But yeah, Clint, just be very careful with what you're doing. Troy, finish your.
Who has the best girlfriend ever?
I do.
Who just bought you all this stuff?
She did.
And all the stuff.
My girl bought all of it, and I'm about to eat that after.
Okay,
So-
we're back up. All right, don't touch
Yeah.
anything. Clint, this
But
is
we're
all your
not
fault.
eating
I'm
it
blaming you.
all. Just know
It's
that.
always Clint's
Because
fault.
you guys
You're the
suck.
rock for us.
Clint.
We just thanks for
How
being
dare
so
you.
strong.
Sorry, guys.
I literally did nothing wrong.
Clint did everything wrong here and destroyed the
I
live
fixed
stream.
everything. Thank you very
And
much.
we thank you guys for dealing with us. Don't touch anything. Troy, finish your thought. Christians are under attack, yes or no?
Shit, everybody's under attack. Truth is under attack. If anything sacred, whole, or like Whole Foods, how about that, right? Not the company that you buy your food from, but the actual Whole Foods, pesticide and herbicide free, organic, legitimate food. How about pure water? How about we get to talk about 5G, this brand new technology with millimeter waves, and like, can we talk about the health of the planet, or we just got to act like everything's just fine and just pay attention to Biden? He's the president, commander in chief, and the World Economic Forum is not running everything. And it's like, what is the big agenda? Why don't we just be free human beings? Why don't we come up with
Because those people
major
are harder
solutions?
to control. We can't control and enslave everyone when they're totally free and not dependent on big pharma and big government.
Well, you know what I did this weekend? The cops. I was filming some stuff out in the park, and my friend, who's an amazing massage therapist, he was working on me. And we were out there for a couple of hours shooting a lot of content. And the cops finally rolled up and they started asking us questions. And I said, "What are you guys doing?" I said, "Nothing. I'm American. I'm just exercising my free speech over here." They said, "What is it?" I said, "I'm sorry, I don't answer questions." And they go, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the other guy." And I'm like, "I'm talking to you. I don't give a shit who the fuck you think you're talking to. Go fuck yourself. We're Americans. It's Easter Sunday, and we're getting a massage in the park. We're doing nothing wrong."
Hell yeah. Welcome to Arizona, MFer.
Yeah. So, but homie knew that I knew my shit, and the Constitution, is the law of the land, and that's what they swear to uphold. And I just like doing a little audit here and there, and just making sure everybody recognizes. So that was what I did this weekend in America.
Hippie Liam Neeson is in the building.
I thought it was Hippie Hasselhoff. Hippie Hasselhoff makes more sense here, as we have a Rumble rant by Z Warlock 505 saying no hard-boiled eggs for the president who poops himself at the Vatican. Joe Biden spent yesterday on his rocker with his wife eating applesauce and knitting. Good grief, this country is in trouble. Z Warlock 505 also said, "Love the shirt, Steph." I don't know what kind of shirt you're wearing there. What are you wearing there?
This is a Black Sabbath shirt, and I really like their rendition of War Pigs.
Yeah, baby, me too.
Ricky Ace One says, "Do you think Facebook, said in a different way, will suppress info and help steal this upcoming election as well? Until people actually delete Facebook, nothing will change."
True.
Troy, you use a lot of Facebook. We've been like totally censored on there. It's absolutely atrocious to see our kind of like levels of where we were at before, how many people we were reaching. As of course, right now it's almost like no one. And it definitely does seem like that is the platform that last election cycle got involved in the election by spending hundreds of millions of dollars on a voter turnout effort that predominantly allowed Democrats to vote, and in my opinion, swung the election and allowed Joe Biden to become the president of the United States in a legitimate rigging of a way.
Yeah, well, were we talking about the ballot harvesting as well, and the stuff that happened in Georgia? And I mean, Facebook, I think they hit it at every single angle. Remember those black conservative ladies that didn't they take it to the Supreme Court or something like that? I mean, it was being hit at every single level. And then Elon Musk acquired X or Twitter, and come to find out there was censorship across the board.
No.
Well, keep in mind too, like the whole Russiagate fiasco was predicated off of a little bit over 100,000 worth of Facebook ads, while simultaneously Zuckerberg was spending over $100 million totally reorganizing and reorchestrating the election in 2020. So if you want to talk about real shenanigans when it comes to Facebook, it wasn't Russia's ads, it was the CEO and founder of Facebook himself, and Mark Zuckerberg. And yet, yeah, as the person chiming in says, like, no, nothing's going to change. But no, deleting Facebook is not going to be the answer, because you're not going to be able to get people to delete that. What you have to do, in my estimation, is forbid, private wealthy billionaires from essentially, modifying the electoral process. And I think that's what Zuckerberg did.
Well, nothing has really changed since the last time they were able to fortify the election. No rules were put in place. No regulations. No one stepped in. No one intervened.
Well,
therefore, I think it's going to be a repeat of 2020 with the election results.
I mean, the winner writes the rules. You know what I mean? So, like, because Biden won, none of the election stuff's going to change.
Not just in 2020, but in 2022. I think a lot of people forget the midterm elections, that everyone was predicting a huge red wave. And in reality, it was like a little red puddle. And everyone was disappointed. And everyone was really sad. And everyone was like, what's going on here? I thought there was going to be a kind of rebuttal of the larger kind of calls against these regulations, against these health measures. I thought people were going to actually vote their conscience and stand up. And the Democrats kind of pulled out in a very surprising way. They didn't win the House. They tied in the Senate. But I think that election, as well as the other kind of fortification efforts, especially when it comes to the illegal immigration happening in the United States, also is going to be playing a major role in it that a lot of people don't expect to be as big as it is. So I think Democrats are going to definitely take it, and because I don't see any other way.
I'm expecting miracles. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just shocked that you think that Joe Biden could win this when you look at the polls. But then again, we saw the red puddle in the midterm, and that was a combination of things. I think that the Supreme Court decision on abortion encouraged a lot of Democrat voters to get out to the polls in the midterms. I was part of it. But the social media censorship across the board definitely has a huge role that's going to continue with Facebook and Instagram and TikTok.
I'd like to comment on the whole abortion thing.
That's another topic that we have to save for Rumble.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
No.
I do want to comment on it later.
But
and
rights.
Republican infighting is another thing that caused the red puddle. There were a lot of factors.
Especially the RNC. I think the RNC absolutely mishandled that entire situation, especially where they were sending money and how they were sending money and how they were running the elections, which really wasn't good at all.
And then the shenanigans of at the ballot box that we can't talk about on YouTube that are so legitimate that we've been gaslit over, that I saw evidence of as a reporter, and Fox Corp told me not to cover. Those were another reason for red puddle, and that sort of stuff is going to continue.
Well, on top of that, too, you've also seen multiple Republican congressional members announce their retirement or resignation. So I think the majority is now a one-seat advantage. So by the time the elections come around, it could be 50-50 or even a Democrat majority. It's really crazy. It seems quite evident to me that the uniparty is demonstrating its power. Like there are a handful, I'd say maybe 10 to 15 congressional representatives that represent the American people, and there's about 415 that would sell you for a new Honda Accord. Like, they don't care at all about us.
Steph, read these Rumble rants. Hurry up.
Ouija49 says, if we keep losing audio, you should loan some of us Clint so we can start our own podcast. We taste Clint at 100 subs.
Read the next one. Read the next one. Steph, read.
Oh, hi, Andrew Jacobs says, hi, Steph, nice shirt. Sabbath rules.
So for the people who don't know, if we reach 100,000 subscribers on Rumble, which we're very close to doing so, Clint gets tasered in the you-know-what for 7+ hours, which is going to be really fun.
I think today's a good day to announce my resignation. At 99,000
we're very close.
I will be out of here.
But let's continue to talk. No, Clint, we'll find you. We'll track you down, and we will make sure that the people's subscriptions here paid off here on rumble.com/wearechanged. Of course, let's go back to the news. As Ivory, you had a particular story that kind of went viral on your flight here as you sat down to someone that was being flown into Florida after being accused of illegally entering the United States. He had some interesting paperwork. Tell us about the story. What happened? What was going on here? And what's the kind of bigger reaction to all of this?
Yeah, well, I was sitting next to these two guys on my United flight, and they told me that they spoke French and Spanish, and I was like, "Oh, where are you guys from?" They're like, "Florida," And I was like, oh, okay. Well, then they had, the one had this UN refugee folder with him. And I was like, hold on, did you just come to America? He's like, yeah. I was like, can I see in there? And I opened it up. It was a notice to appear from Border Patrol, which showed that he had illegally crossed the border in Laredo, Texas, the day prior to the flight.
Was he Haitian?
Yes, the paperwork said he was Haitian. He told me he was from the Dominican Republic. He explained that he grew up largely in both countries. And he was coming to America to get together with his family. Apparently he just moved in with his grandfather here in Miami, and his father is in Boston. I believe his aunt is in New York, he said. And his friend there was with him, but it went very viral. Now, I asked for a selfie, and he was delighted, and took a selfie. Then he took one of me. He put me all over social media, and I put him on mine.
He just landed in America, and he already has a blonde girlfriend. This dude's,
I love
this dude's
this.
doing great.
Tell us more.
No wonder they're all coming over here. Like,
He then asked for my phone number, and I said, absolutely. As a news reporter, by the way, we give our phone number to a lot of people, especially people like that, because we want to follow up with this illegal immigrant and find out what's going to happen. Well, it went so viral. It got like 6 million views on Twitter. My selfie with him, 6 million views on Twitter. It got so viral that it got to him. He frantically texted me a couple days later saying that I was doing him dirty by posting this selfie. And I said, you posted a selfie of me. I can post one of you. But no, I said, look, I'm a reporter, and I'm telling your story. And he asked me to take it down. I said, I can't take it down, but I can do a follow-up interview with you so you can explain more of your story. And he's debating that right now. His grandfather actually called me today, so he wasn't lying about his grandpa. His grandpa called me wondering why I posted his selfie. But I hid his identity in the paperwork because I blinked that part out, because the story is not to demonize one illegal immigrant. It's to show what Joe Biden is doing across the board in America.
Were you able to see into that UN folder? Because my understanding, based off of lots of interviews, Brett Weinstein, I had another gentleman on my show that had actually traveled with Brett to the Darien Gap, that the UN is responsible largely for the cell phones and financing and assisting with this process. Did he allow you to see that? Was there anything
you
of
could
interest?
see in your photo he has a specific document from the UN Refugee Agency. Are they the ones kind of organizing a lot of this? Do we even know what's really going on here?
Yeah, that was the folder that was containing all his paperwork, including his plane tickets and his notice to appear information. Was from the UN. So based on my previous news coverage, I'll tell you what happened. But the paperwork in that folder also had a whole sheet of immigration lawyers that he can call once he gets to Miami to try to plead his case so he can stay in America, because the notice to appear says that he needs to appear at an immigration court in October and be deported. Because it says very clearly from Border Patrol that you broke the law. But what Border Patrol agents have told me is that this is paperwork that is systematically given out to everyone who crosses the border illegally, and it is essentially a free pass into America. If you're holding a notice to appear, you can go wherever, do whatever. And there are many nonprofits that are contracted with our federal government right now, so that if you show your notice to appear to them, that is your ticket to get a pile of cash, plane tickets, bus tickets, hotel stays, taxis, wherever you want. Just tell them you have a friend or family member here or there. And those nonprofits are funded by our tax dollars. I uncovered the FEMA documents showing hundreds of millions annually given to these nonprofits to distribute illegal immigrants throughout America. Some of their notices to appear are in a few months. Some of them are in a few years. They can live off of our tax dollars for a few years before maybe appearing in immigration court, maybe just vanishing into the shadows.
Do we know who's paying for these flights? Because we just found out a couple weeks ago the Biden administration is even going to Latin American countries and saying, you don't even have to cross the border. We'll organize planes for you to come into the United States. Was this that particular situation where the taxpayers were paying for this flight, or did he actually pay for his own flight?
No, these are taxpayers paying for it. FEMA breaks it down. I can send you the FEMA webpage. FEMA.gov has it very publicly on there, broken down how many millions are going to each local jurisdictions in some cases. So like a county or a city, like the city of San Antonio is rolling in the dough. Actually, city of New York City is getting, I think, over 100 million in one fiscal year, and that's why they're not complaining too much.
$100 million.
Yeah, just to help house these people. That's why the mayor of New York is not freaking out too much. He just needs to, we got to do the logistics of figuring out more hotels so we can keep more money coming into New York.
Yeah, because at first he was like, come on in, we're a sanctuary city. Then he said, no, we're full. And then he started to give out debit cards to all the illegal immigrants. They're saying, but if you do come, we'll give you a little bit of money here. And that's an incredible way of incentivizing more people to come there. And when they do, this definitely does change the demographics of congressional representation, also changes the demographics of the local population there. And I'm hearing from people who live in New York City that wherever there's a migrant shelter, you got to be careful because crime goes up in that specific area. And we have seen the correlation with crime and immigration correlated in Europe very significantly to the point where a lot of those countries are even banning a lot of the data from coming out, from people finding out what's really kind of happening in their own kind of countries. Now, I don't want to conflate the two, but that's the reality of the situation. It's just crazy to see this happen and for us to be paying for all of this when in reality, there's so many other things that we could definitely help people out with. For me, the best government is no government. But if we want to be with this government, why are they spending money essentially replacing our own population? That's the kind of question that I think a lot of people have here.
Yeah, and it does make you think, is this a voter drive, right? But what's interesting is a lot of these people from Latin America, actually just a lot of immigrants end up being Republican because of the hard work that it takes to get here, and they have family values. A lot of them are coming for their families, and they relate more with Republican values. And so this could backfire.
Except for when the Republican value is deportations, in which case they're not going to be voting Republican. I mean, if Trump is running on a mass deportation campaign, they're certainly not going to vote for their own.
Well, they're going to, yeah, that's true. I mean, they'll figure out how to get here, to stay here legally. And then, but I've just met so many who end up leaning to the right.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Family values culturally, most people in Latin America certainly are more conservative.
And Africans end up, a lot of them end up being right wing.
Yeah.
I have African friends. So, yeah.
Not very
some
pro-gay
of them,
rights.
majority overwhelmingly Democrat, though, from according to the statistics and the data. And I think this is why the Biden administration is saying, we'll go to these Latin American countries. We're not going to go to Poland. We're not going to go to Romania. We're not going to go to Lithuania. We're not going to go to Hungary, right? Why not? Why are you discriminating against my people of color, the real Slavic people who went through so much adversities and so many problems that should be getting all the help that everyone else is getting? But they're not doing that. They're not going to Cuba. They're not saying, hey, all the Cubans who really hate communism, who lived through it, come on down, guys. It's totally cool and hunky-dory here. They don't want that. And this is, I believe, the weaponization of human trafficking, but also codifying the Democratic Party to be in power forever. So this is my picture. This is what I foretell and I kind of foresee looking at all the writings on the wall here. Democrats win this upcoming election, and then they keep fortifying it, and then they keep rigging the game, and they keep bringing people in to the point where overwhelmingly the vast congressional representation, the only thing that the Republicans have now is representation in Congress and the Supreme Court. The Democrats are going to nuke and destroy both of those institutions, and they're going to be one party in power forever with no one ever being able to challenge or stand up against them. That's the situation that we're in right now. That's what I see. Is that too doomer black-pilled? Because I don't see any other way around it.
Is this the hour we get to talk
No,
about?
not yet.
overthrowing the
Hold on,
government?
Troy. Control yourself.
10 more minutes, Troy. 10 more minutes.
Yes. But that's how I see it, and I don't see it any other way. I don't see it in any other kind of perspective other than Democrats, uniparty forever. They might even roll out Biden 2.0. There might even be a Biden hybrid robot clone that they're going to put out there. We're probably already on like the third iteration of Biden.
What happened to Michelle Obama? I thought she was coming online.
She's definitely she was celebrating yesterday. I made a post yesterday on Sunday that I showed you, Ivory, that I was hesitant on putting the trigger on. But I just couldn't help it.
Michelle's day of visibility.
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
Big Mike's day of visibility, some would say. But no, this is the kind of doomer, black-pilled perspective that I have seeing everything unfolding right in front of us. Is it too black-pilled? Is there going to be some kind of renaissance? Is there going to be something different? I hope so. But what's the way? How is it going to kind of manifest itself? Because I don't see it.
Yeah. No, I can see that happening. What you described, but I like to be more optimistic than that. Hopefully, I interviewed Mike Lindell, the pillow guy, and he's highly optimistic. Actually, his big thing is the machines when it comes to election day. And he is saying that way more change has happened than people realize than is being reported, which I can see that being true because the corporate news does not prioritize voter integrity coverage, which when I started out in my journalism career, it was celebrated that the most sacred day for a reporter was election day, and really elections were one of the major reasons that we were reporters. And the fact that now whether your vote really counts doesn't really matter, and they're going to gaslight. The corporate media is joining politicians in gaslighting us about whether our vote really counts is crazy.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, if Trump wins, election integrity will once again be a topic that we're allowed to discuss.
Well,
because they're going to all be challenging it.
This is why I keep bringing this up, because I think a lot of Republicans think that they have it in the bag. They're like, we got this. He's winning in the polls. He's definitely going to win. I don't need to vote. It's going to be fine. It's not. I don't need to go there. He already has it. Look at the clear victory that he has here. And I think that's also another kind of gaslighting effort that's happening right now as well that people need to be aware of, because you saw a kind of similar strategy with Hillary Clinton. I think the way Hillary Clinton lost, and she won the popular vote, by the way. A lot of people keep forgetting that as well. But I think one of the main reasons she lost is because everyone kind of thought she has it in the bag. She's going to win. Obviously, she's going to become the next Hare, the next queen, the next kind of Medusa-like creature that will, overthrow democratically elected leaders all over the world for freedom and democracy. And I think people believe that lie.
I think Trump did a good job of making sure that didn't happen in the primaries this year. In the Iowa caucuses, he was going around making sure, my poll numbers are good, but don't you dare sit at home. And yeah, it's cold, but you better risk dying. You better risk dying.
Freezing. It was miserable.
Because he's like, and he's relentless on the campaign trail. That's part of why he beat Hillary, is that he was making way more stops than her, and it worked. And the turnout for Trump was crazy in places like Iowa, and I think he may be able to really get people out, even though his poll numbers are also high.
I think the big issue this go around is going to be that the media realizes that he is a ratings draw, and they put him front and center. He was supposed to be the sacrificial lamb that just basically coronated Hillary into her well-earned White House stint. I don't think they're going to do that this time. I mean, Biden has already said he doesn't intend to debate Trump. I don't think that the media is going to give him nearly as much airtime. You've already had Maddow and others that just cut away from his speeches saying, we can't fact check him in real time. He's going to obviously inform our audience. So I think that if the media plays it smart, they can make it seem as if he's basically a non-entity. That's my fear, at least.
Yeah, but I also think the media is losing a lot of influence, losing a lot of power that they previously had before. Ivory, you were kind of a corporate journalist working at a major institution. Now you're fully independent. What's the difference in that kind of world? And do you also kind of see it like I do, that a lot of the old establishment guard is losing a lot of their kind of biting power, and they don't really have it like they did before?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think just since the pandemic, the independent media has exploded. There's suddenly like very successful and wealthy independent people because the viewers are genuinely turning to them. And then you can just look at like the comment section of some of the corporate news, social media, for instance.
If they have comment sections, because a lot of them take down the comment sections for a very specific reason. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and and the audience is making fun of them not buying it. If anything, they're watching to laugh at the corporate news a lot of times. But that being said, there are still a lot of people who are just like blinders on, whatever.
A lot of grandparents
whatever CNN tells me.
Influence the rest of their family and stuff are still watching.
Yes,
not just grandparents either. I mean, I think that this is a very like metropolitan thing, because I know when I lived in San Diego or people in New York, like friends that live in the larger cities, LA, for instance, they still very much pride themselves on like, no, I am informed by Rachel Maddow. I watch the news every day. And it's like these people are out of their minds, but they genuinely believe that they're the smartest people that you'll meet.
Well, we could blame single white women on on all of our problems that we face.
How'd you know
they
that's-
overwhelmingly vote Democrat?
How'd you know that's what I was talking about? Single white women. Unbelievable.
Overwhelmingly on SSRIs as well. So there's that. But no, you look at the voter base, you look at the kind of demographics, it is overwhelmingly a lot of women who are single that are the largest voter base for the Democrats. And this is why individuals like Lizzo, individuals like Taylor Swift do play a major role in this election and have led to some people even say that they're kind of psyopses within psyopses as well, engineered and weaponized in order to get the voter turnout, in order to get people just going along with the status quo and the establishment. And we were, before the show started, we were talking about the role of entertainment in our discourse and essentially how a lot of intelligence agencies infiltrate entertainment and use it as their own kind of tool for using it as power for themselves. But that's just my conspiratorial point of view.
Yeah, well, I mean, conspiratorial, this is basically mass psychosis, program psychology, program propaganda, Edward Bernays, feminism, 73, the second wave with Gloria Steinem, as Aaron Russo said in his film. The Rockefellers wanted two people to pay into the tax structure, this whole feminism, boss babe situation. I question some of the bigger influencers, like money makers online. It's like, where'd they get their money? Where'd they come out of nowhere? Are these plants?
There's a bunch of people that, especially the younger people that come out of nowhere, those are 100% manufactured, in my opinion, because like they have nothing to add.
Which one are you talking about?
I don't even know their names because I don't follow them, but I'll just see them start to go viral out of nowhere, and I'm like, oh yeah,
Andrew Tate is one of them. I mean, I don't know about him, but he came out of nowhere.
Well, he's actually really a gifted speaker, though. So that I'm talking about the people that come out of nowhere who have absolutely zero skills. Those are the people that I'm like, oh, you're just being put up.
Well, if you look at the way that Tate kind of gamified and used social media with a lot of his followers,
affiliates,
it seems like a genius kind of marketing strategy, to be quite honest.
And plus, he did OnlyFans at a time when OnlyFans was becoming extremely popular during lockdown. Look, I don't claim to know anything out there, but there is suspect stuff.
Oh yeah.
And these whole sweeping viral movements on the internet. I mean, I've been on the internet for 20 years and I make good content that people like, but getting, popularity on there and growing is
well, it's always
be determined.
It's always good to kind of take a step back and see what we're discussing and what's in our kind of discourse. And if you look at the Republican discourse, what are we talking about? We're talking about calendars and that being blasphemous. We're talking about someone's divorce proceedings. We're talking about a lot of things that don't really amount to anything, while the Democrats are literally weaponizing the FBI to go after people who show up at parent-teacher conferences. They're giving huge jail sentences to individuals who are pro-life. And I think those are the core issues that we should be discussing. We should be discussing health. We should be discussing personal responsibility. We should be be discussing a way to make the system irrelevant by becoming better, stronger versions of ourselves. And we never really do that because a lot of people are just involved in kind of petty squabbles that do go viral. And you have to start questioning the virality of it, especially when you learn how deep the intelligence agencies are not only invested, but what kind of role they play when it comes to all these big tech social media companies that they have a hand in, and they decide what goes viral and doesn't go viral.
100%. And you were talking about corporate media before, so everybody thinks, oh, that's tainted, but social media is just as tainted.
Yeah, it was so interesting when I left Fox, and the stories that my bosses didn't want me to cover, when I went independent, I said, okay, those are the stories I'm going to zone in on first and get these things covered, fill in the blanks, put the story on social media, and only to find out that the same stories that Fox didn't want covered, Instagram and Twitter also banned. And so
That's how you know that the marching orders are coming up from on high.
right. Yep. And when I say Fox, Fox, NBC, CBS, ABC, everyone was in lockstep on censoring the exact same stories. And so, yeah, that was really fishy.
Oh, we're going to get into that on Rumble.
Yeah, it's not a coincidence. It's not an accident that you can't talk about all the things that some of you guys talked about already. Putting me in the digital gulag over here. Thank you, Ivory. Thank you, Troy. Great. Clint, you actually did pretty well. I like Clint. I give Clint. I did all right today. I give Clint a hard time, but it's fun to give Clint a hard time.
You know, it's
because
just,
he deserves it. He deserves.
By the way, I did invite you. I did invite you to go see Sam Tripoli.
It was like 2 minutes before the event and like 700 miles away.
24 hours, 300 miles.
We're now going to be officially moving over from this kind of Kyle and Karen safe space that is YouTube, that is controlled by Alphabet, that is controlled by Google, and we will be leaving this space and going to a platform that, of course, provides us greener pastures and the ability to discuss whatever we want in a totally unfiltered way. That place is, of course, rumble.com/wearechange, rumble.com/wearechange. Go there right now, and you could click on the link here, and we will, of course, continue the conversation there, and we will be getting off all the other platforms, as, of course, this platform is the platform where, of course, the conversation continues in a real and honest way. We're also going to be taking callers from members of LukeUnfiltered.com in about 30 minutes, so if you are a member, make sure to go to the Telegram channel and make sure to let me know that you want to call in. We got another Rumble rant. We're going to save it for Rumble because it's a little spicy, and we're going to be discussing the situation in the Middle East. We're going to be discussing the situation with Ukraine. That plus a lot more all right now. Before we head over, Troy, where can people find more information about you?
At Certified Health Nut across the internet, Mr. Health Nut on Twitter, certifiedhealthnut.com, and yeah, baby.
Miss Hecker.
Oh,
Heckler.
Oh, Hecker. Where can you guys find me?
Yeah.
You can find my YouTube, youtube.com/ivoryhecker, Instagram, real.ivory, Twitter, @ivoryhecker. I still call it Twitter.
I do too.
Yeah, I do.
And I just have a new docuseries reality show covering the news across America on Unified TV. That's unified with a y.tv.
Nice. Clint, who really didn't want me in Orlando.
I very much did. I was sobbing when I realized that you weren't coming. At Liberty Lockpod on X. If you want to support my work, you can subscribe there. The hour and a half long live show that we did up in Central Florida, aka Summerfield, with Sam Tripoli, will be out on my Twitter to my subscribers only later this evening, and it'll also be on my locals, so libertylockdown.locals.com if you want to support my work. There's a few hundred of you that have chosen to do so, and I am forever in your debt.